Hi, Brandon Asbury here. We're going to learn how to restring a guitar in part 1 and then tune it in part 2. For restringing purposes, obviously we need our guitar, which is standing by for me, and then we need a couple of tools. The first one here is a tuning peg tool, and this will actually help us remove and put the strings back on the guitar at a faster pace. Plus, it's going to help me with the guitar pin at the base. We'll discuss that later. We're going to need, well, you don't necessarily need, but you can. Sometimes it's quicker to just clip the strings. This is just a string clipper. There is a hassle. I'm only going to use this for one string just to show you how it works. And then you need your strings. For me, I've chosen the Elixir Polyweb medium gauge. If you are a beginner player, a light gauge is probably a more suitable string.
Okay, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to pull out our string. I've got my E string here, and I've got my clipper. I'm going to take my left hand and place it over the neck just so the string doesn't hurt me as it flies up. Simply going to clip it, and what I've done is I've prevented the string from hitting me. The thing that I talked about was now we have to unwind the remaining string, and as we get into the smaller strings it gets a little bit more difficult to pull those out. So this is why I recommend using the string winder instead of just clipping them. And another thing that we have to remember, especially as we get down further, is the strings are going to get pointier and pointier, so it's really important that we try to pick up after ourselves. With the string winder, I'm just simply going to unwind my tuning peg. What that's going to do is loosen up the strings for me. So as I go through here, it's also going to make it easier to take the pin out when I get to removing the pins. Okay, so I'm just doing that for every single string, just enough. I don't have to take them off. I can just do enough to pop the pin when I get there. Now we have our pins. When we're looking at this, I showed you earlier on the string winder that it does have a little notch. That's what we're going to use to pull the pins out. I'm just going to slide it on and pop it out. Now I obviously loosened these up a little bit before I started doing this. They are a little difficult sometimes, especially if you haven't changed your strings for a while. Just simply pull my string out, just as so, and all the way through. I can remove every single one before, or I can go ahead and hold off and just use, or just do one at a time. I'm going to pop two out right now basically, but as we take the E string, I've got the little ball end. I'm going to take my pin, I'm going to stick the ball in to the hole, and I'm just going to slide my pin back down in there. The pin's going to be loose because there's no tension on the string right now, so it's going to be a little bit easier for that pin to pop out. We'll discuss that in just a second, and you'll see that I again go to the A string to pop that pin out. Once again, I loosened it. They can take a little bit more muscle and oomph to pull those out, especially if it's an older guitar or hasn't been used, or the strings haven't been changed. Same thing again. I've got my ball end. The ball end fits into the hole. I take my pin and I slide it right inside there. Now we're going to come up to the top of the head here. I have my string, it's in there. I'm going to lay the E string in the correct notch on the nut, and then from the inside of the head to the outside of the head, I'm going to wrap my string around the tuning peg stem. For the larger strings, I like to only wrap it once. This is just to help secure the string a little bit better instead of sticking the string right through the hole. It also allows us, if we do make a mistake, we can go back and correct it. I'm then going to take the tuning, or the winding tool, to go ahead and tighten my string. Sometimes the pin will pop out near the bridge, so we do need to hold that in with our finger as we tighten the string. I'll use my hand here, but it just helps us keep the tension on the string, and the pin will then stay for us. Then I want to tighten it It doesn't have to be perfect, but just enough that, once again, that pin's holding still. Same thing with the A string. I'm going to bring it up, and then from the inside of the head to the outside of the head, wrap it once, and then I'm going to stick the smaller end into a hole and pull it nice and tight. And once again, I'll use my string winder to start. I do have to have my finger on the pin. Eventually, you'll see my left hand move. This just, like I said, it helps it stay in, so we have a better fit, and the string doesn't pop out. Now for the lower 3 strings, what I'm going to do is the exact same thing. I'm going from the inside of the head to the outside. But what that is going to, it's going to obviously go the opposite because it's on the bottom part of this guitar. Same thing, just making sure that I have a nice wrap. On these lower strings, you can go ahead and wrap it 2 or 3 times just to make sure that they stay. With the larger strings, it's a little bit more, we don't want as much string on the stem. On this one, we want to make sure that these smaller strings, which are easier to come loose, remain in place. Once again, with the other strings, I'm doing my B right now. We're ready to go and ready to get to tune this. When we do tighten these strings, like I said earlier, just a quick reminder, please do not over tighten these. They are brand new. They're going to be easier to snap, and we just want to have it enough tension to keep the pin in, and also just enough for us to be able to work with when we do start our tuning. So I will see you next time, and let's tune a guitar.